Hi, I am Jordania Rodriguez. I am your host for today, and I would like to introduce Laura Brayton. Hi, good morning, Laura.
Hi, good morning, Jordania. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm glad. Thank you so much for being here today. And what I would like to ask you today, Laura, for our audience is to tell us about yourself and what do you do?
Sure. So I'm a family wellness chiropractor, and I started my practice in Hoboken in 2005, if you can believe it. I know I don't look old enough, but I'm celebrating 17 years this year, and I have such a passion for serving the community of Hoboken, Jersey City, and the surrounding towns of Hudson County, in really improving the birth experience for women that are preparing for pregnancy, are pregnant, and really helping to support them and having an empowered birth experience, which will create an empowered mama and really shift the trajectory for that family after the birth process. So we see a lot of pregnant and new mamas who are looking for holistic care. And we also take care of a lot of babies as well that might be having some common infant issues like breastfeeding challenges or digestive issues, including constipation and colic. So really just helping the families in our community be happy and healthy. And we do take care of a couple dads as well.
Oh. So just like some of our events for women and some men?
Yes. We do not exclude. We don't discriminate. But definitely our passion is taking care of that dyad, that mama baby, whether that baby is in utero still or has been born, and just helping to support them. It's such a vulnerable period of a woman's life when she's pregnant and a new mom, physically and energetically. And so how can we support that woman to the best of our ability? And it needs a village, right? A village is required. You're a mom, I'm a mom, and if you can just reflect back to that early period of your motherhood and how challenging it is, right? Like that is where we need that village, and I'm part of that team to help support that family.
That sounds great. So you've been in business for so long. Like you said, you did it when you were crawling, and that's when you first established your business.
Correct. Just call me Doogie Howser.
So after that being said, you are very successful in what you do. You're in an area that back in the days used to be dominated by males. Now it's about 50-50 on chiropractors. So how do you do it?
Yeah, it's interesting. When I was in chiropractic school, our class was about 50% female, believe it or not. But what I find in general with the profession, and even now, the people that are leading my profession are dominantly men. And a lot of that, I think, is just women in general after they get married and start a family, their drive to, let's say, run their own business or have leadership positions in the state associations and other leadership roles is minimized because their focus is on their family. And so you might see them, even myself actually, I now actually have part-time hours in my office, but I have a full-time associate who's available to provide that hands-on care for the family. But I've made major adjustments to how I personally practice when I became a mother 4 years ago. And I think that's something that is powerful of being an entrepreneur, is that you can make the rules, you can decide when you practice, how you do things. I can make my own schedule, and I can change things that is not so flexible if I was working for the man. Or a corporation.
That sounds great, Laura. So in your role now, you are able and you have that flexibility now for you to be able to do that.
It took me years to build that though, right? So those first few years, I was hustling and I was working very long days. I was having a lot of fun, but it required a lot of time and energy. And I'm very blessed that, and I think in a lot of ways it was a conscious choice. I chose to start my family later because those first several years, I was really just obsessed with building my business and my brand and service, right? And it didn't really allow time for taking care of a family. So once that practice was really well established and I had this amazing associate, Dr. Alvarez, on board, then it was time to get married and have my son. And kind of, not that I'm pulling back, so to speak, but I have more support within my business, right? So I think that's important for women to recognize, especially ones that want to become mothers, that your role will change, and that's not a bad thing. And it's not that we can't necessarily have it all, but we have to do things differently than when we were pre-mom.
So just like you mentioned now, you're a mother, you're a wife, you're a business owner. At what time of the day or the year or the month is my me time that you say, hey,
That's every day. That's every day. And I'll tell you what, there is nothing more important than mama self-care. I heard a speaker on Wednesday, actually at a chamber event, that said moms put their children first. And I know that is a generalization, and there's this innate, like, I got to do what I need. I'm a mama bear, but I will tell you, and I've been saying this for 17 years in my practice before I became a mother, and now as a mother, modeling what I preach. If I don't take care of myself, if I don't put my oxygen mask on first, then my whole family will suffer, my business will suffer, the people in my community that I'm passionate about serving will suffer, because I am not where I need to be physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So that is something that I really want women to hear. And they don't have to practice that after they become a mother either. Anytime, and it's not selfish. It is not selfish. We deserve to take care of ourselves and put ourselves first. And that is really what allows us to give from a full cup instead of from a depleted cup. A depleted cup of giving and giving. And women, man, we love to caretake, right? We love to give. We love to serve. But we have to serve ourselves first. When we, and I see this often in my practice, women that are just taking care of so many people and not so much themselves, they come in sick, they come in with dis-ease, they need a lot of help, and they're anxious, they're depressed, they have autoimmune conditions, they have pain, and it's because they've neglected themselves. So for myself, I'm eating healthy foods, I'm exercising regularly, I have a meditation practice. 20 minutes a day is for me to just do what I need to do, whether it's a walk in nature or an intense cardio workout, or I'm sitting with my meditation app, just really grounding my mind. These are things that I do to take care of myself, and my family knows that this is non-negotiable.
That is awesome.
They've been trained. My husband knows mama needs her time, because guess what? He gets his time too.
Yes,
right?
definitely.
Men don't have any shame coming home from work and being like, I just need to sit on the couch for a few minutes. That's their downtime. We all need it. And it looks different for, different people. Mm-hmm. But, we all need it, and we all need to make it a priority.
Definitely. So, Laura, you've been so inspired so far in the things that you have mentioned before. So I know through your career, you have faced many obstacles. How do you overcome those obstacles?
That's a great question. So what I found early after starting my practice is that there was a lot of moments of overwhelm, of like, oh my God, can I do this? I've never owned a business before, right? This was my first time in the entrepreneurial field. I had worked for a chiropractic practice 2 years out of school to kind of get a little information, but I was still just kind of winging it, right? Without previous business experience. And there were moments that I was like, I don't know if I can pay my rent next month, right? Like it was really, I didn't have a spouse or family that was funding me. So this was also highly motivating to like figure it out and get out networking, join local organizations like the Rotary Club and the Chamber of Commerce, because sitting in my office was not going to grow my business, right? I had to get out there. I had to educate. I had to get in front of people and let them know what I was doing. No one else was going to do that except myself, right? So even though there were those fears, I think because I was like, I want to keep this going. I enjoy what I do. Let me figure that out. And I would say there's been a lot of mentors that have helped coach me over the years in what was the next action step that needed to happen to continue to have growth in my business. So early on, I hired a business coach, and I've had a few now in my career. But the business coaches kept me accountable, and they also very much just showed me where I was having limiting beliefs that were creating blockage in my progression and my growth. And then I've done a lot of personal development. So I've invested a lot of money. Tony Robbins seminars. I've been to all of them. And I've learned so much about who I am. And when we grow ourselves, everything around us grows. So my business is a reflection of who I am and not the other way around. And so if I see, even now, if I see something that's a little bit off in my business, I don't blame, that staff person's not doing her job, or this pandemic is killing my business. No, I look back into me, and I self-reflect, and I'm like, what do I need to do differently to create a different outcome? Because the outcome or the result I'm seeing right now is not what I want to see. So how do I change that? And even, let's say, an obstacle might be like COVID-19 pandemic, where everything wants to shut down, and I have an in-person brick and mortar business that is not online yet, right? What do I do? And we had to be creative. We had to be adaptable. And that is what business does. It doesn't have to be something as extreme as, the economy shutting down, but that's a great example. And something I did learn from Tony Robbins is like there's seasons, right? Spring, summer, fall, winter. We have them in our personal lives. We also have them in business. And currently the economy is in a winter season. And winter seems bad for people. People are like, oh, winter, it's like so dead. There's nothing going on. But that's when you get to really create and go deep into what you want to create, because spring's around the corner. Winter never lasts forever. And before you know it, when spring's there, man, you got your seeds planted, and summer comes, you harvest, and you go into the fall. So it's just recognizing that everything is cyclical, everything has a season, and we can't change our external environment. We can't change a winter economy. We can't change current circumstances sometimes, but we can change how we react to those circumstances. And that's the power there. And recognizing that even if I did something for 15 years that was working really well, now I'm dealing with a pandemic 2 years ago, and I have to course correct, and I have to change. And that's what allowed actually exponential growth in my business, where I'm now looking, I need a second office, I need to hire a second associate, because people more now than ever are looking, how can I be healthy? How can I improve my immune system? What do my children need? Health is the top and forefront of people's mind, and that's what we do. We do health, we do wellness, and we do it really well. So we are an amazing resource for our community. And it also has allowed me to work on my online brand with the Brayton birth method of programs and things that are available digitally. So I'm not dependent on a in-person business, and I can actually have both.
That sounds great, Laura. So, you are so inspiring by the things that you say and how you say it. We all can feel your energy here. So what keeps you inspired?
So what keeps me inspired, I think, is everything I've learned over the years of how I want to operate as a human being and how I want to live my life, and just staying on course. And when I have feedback from my environment that things aren't really going the way I want, like I mentioned earlier, I'm much quicker to catch that and correct it and not get stuck in that like, it's been months now. No, that never happens to me anymore. It's like a few hours, maybe a couple days, and then I'm like, no, time to get out of this. And I think the support and love from my husband and my son also helps to keep me grounded, and reflection from friends and family that know me well, that are also that I'm able to receive, constructive criticism, right? And that's also coaching, right? Of really hearing where I'm stuck. And that's really what creates this emotional pain that you're talking about. Emotional pain does not come from our external environment ever. It's just a reflection of where we need to make shifts within ourselves. So I'm always fascinated about my subconscious mind and where I can grow from that. So the subconscious mind, I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's formed the first 7 years of our life. And it literally controls about 90 to 95% of all of the decisions we make as adults. So our 2, 3, 4-year-old brain is calling the shots. When we're in traffic, the way we respond to that traffic. Are we angry? Are we frustrated? Are we screaming? Or the car next to us is blasting, "This girl is on fire" from Alicia Keys and having the time of her life, and doesn't care that the car in front of her isn't moving. So we can, like, the same external environment is happening for those two individuals, and they're having a completely different experience and a different reaction to that. And that is what's possible for all of us.
Definitely.
Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did.
Okay, good. Wasn't sure.
No, you did awesome answering it. So after you saying that, I just want get feedback from you or an advice. So what takeaways do you have for our audience? What can you advise to those females out there that might be struggling or might be second guessing, should I do this or not? Did I choose the right thing to do? What advice do you have for them or takeaways?
Yeah, that's a great question. So that's where you have your board of directors. And you have to be very careful about who you pick to be on your board of directors. These do not have to be paid positions, by the way, if you're a starting entrepreneur. It could be a paid coach, but it could also be some sort of mentor, and it could be paid or unpaid, who you really look up to and you admire, who you trust, that's going to give you good advice and good guidance. And you consult with your board, because difficult decisions do come along often, sometimes, or not as often, but the more you do it, the easier it gets, by the way. So I would say now where I'm at in my business, I don't feel like I have a lot of difficult decisions to make. Not that they don't happen, but they're not as frequent. And it's probably because I've gotten really good with decision making, right? Yeah. And I don't have to, I know immediately, like, that's what I want and that's where I want to move towards. And it's rare where I have something that kind of stumps me. But number one, remember, you always have a decision and options. So sometimes people feel like this is my only choice, and that's bullshit. There's always more than one choice. You just have to really look at what are all your choices. And it's hard when it's emotional, and that's where some objective feedback from your board of directors can be very valuable. Sometimes even coming up with different choices. Sometimes it's hard for us to see all of our options, but when you can consult with somebody, and it might even be a therapist. I mean, there's so many different types of people out there that can help you really go through and see what your options are. And then from that place, then you can make a really good decision. But if all you see is one choice, then that's not a choice, that's not a decision, right? That's I don't have any other option. And the other thing I'd like to add to that is you never make decisions out of fear. Never, ever, ever. You always really, this is not like you're not bleeding on the side of the road here, right? Like, as long as you're not technically being chased by a tiger or dying, you have time to sit, meditate, really think through. I like to journal. I like to actually write pen and paper, pros, cons list, and really, like, how many choices do you have? And, ideally, there's usually even more than two that are available to you if you really think about it and talk to your mentors. And then you can really see, like, okay, And then it makes it even much easier, honestly, to know where the next step is. And one more thing I want to add to that. Let's say you make that decision, you're feeling good about it, and a couple, 2-3 months later, you realize, oh, that wasn't the right choice. That's okay. You course correct. You correct and continue. And what that means is you don't, just because, and this is an ego thing, right? You're like, okay, I made this choice. Maybe I put a lot of money into this choice. So it's really painful to say, no, I made the wrong decision. But guess what? Anyone who's in business, anyone who is an entrepreneur, makes mistakes sometimes. All of us have. We can call these fails, but that's even like a harsh word. It's really like you're taking action and you're moving forward, and now you have more information to realize that isn't where you want to go, and that's great information to have, and now you can go a different way and you can make a different decision or a different choice. But you would have never known that if you hadn't made that original decision. So that information is invaluable. And I've made a few of them that did cost me a lot of money. And I think sometimes too, when we put a lot of money in, we want to hold on, like, oh, I can't let go of this. Guess what? It's okay. Just do something differently, and then the money will come back. Don't worry about money. Is just energy. Right, so the money will come, but it's just getting that information, and that's really, if we feel stuck and aren't making any action, that's the fail. The fail is not from making a quote-unquote bad decision.
Definitely. I agree 100% with you, Laura, today. So I want to thank Dr. Laura Brayton for being here with us today. So takeaways that I myself took from you, Dr. Brayton, is it's okay to make decisions. So
it's not only okay, it's important. If you don't make decisions, you don't make any movement forward.
And even more important, it is okay to make mistakes, right? So those mistakes, we can turn them into opportunities, and that can make us successful. Something else that Dr. Brayton mentioned today, it's about looking for someone to help you. So either a mentor, board of directors, whatever that may be, that at some point it doesn't have to be paid. So here with the WOC, we have a mentorship program where we can mentor you and help you be successful in your business, just like Dr. Laura mentioned, without being paid. So,
which is amazing. And there's a lot of these resources out there for young entrepreneurs. So don't think that you have to have $10,000 to spend on a coach, right? That can come. But there's so many people out there who've been doing business for a long time, and they want to help.
Definitely. And then just if you have someone that you say, hey, I would love to follow that person. I would love that person to be my coach or my mentor. Don't be ashamed. Just ask that person. You never know. That person might be willing to do it or might be looking for someone to coach. So I invite you to look at our episodes. Follow us online through YouTube, through Facebook, through Instagram, at the HudsonCountyChamber.org page, and looking forward to see all of you guys in our next episode. Please follow us. Thank you for joining us today, and have an amazing day.
Bye.